I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which I live and work, the Yuwid and Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect to all First Nations, including Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders who may be watching today's episode.
For anybody that is an addict, they understand there's nothing anybody can do until the addict is actually ready. And I told myself every time, like, oh my man, like when I get out of jail this time, I'm not going to do this kind of crime, or I'm not going to associate with these people, or I'm totally going to go about it differently. You couldn't get much lower down the rabbit hole than I was. And here I am in front of you when 2 years ago I had nothing and I was near death on the streets. And now here I am.
Welcome to Shit Sparked, the podcast that gets real about addiction, mental health, and everything in between. I'm Paris, and I spent 17 years battling the bottle, 10 years hooked on meth, and I also did a stint in the escorting world, which nearly cost me everything, including my life. With both lived and professional experience, including qualifications in alcohol and other drugs, I'm here to share what I've learned along the way. Every journey is unique, and this podcast brings you stories, insights, and practical tools to help you find what works for you. Now, just a disclaimer, we dive into some tough topics here, including addiction, all forms of abuse, trauma, mental illness, suicide, self-harm, and the realities of life in recovery. These discussions can be intense, so please take care while listening and just make sure you're in the right headspace too. Don't forget to follow or subscribe to the podcast. Your support actually helps us more than you know, and it's one of the best ways to keep these conversations going. I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to the show, Jeremy Cross. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And whereabouts are you streaming in from?
I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada.
Beautiful. And what's the time there right now?
It's 8:15 p.m.
And you were about to go to the gym. So you like to go to the gym at night, do you?
Well, usually I go earlier, but my friend and I went to Playland today. It's like like roller coasters and stuff like that. So
Cool.
I got delayed. I've been actually watching Love Island UK, so it's been a problem. I can't get out of the room. So and they all have accents. They all have accents like you. I know you're Australian,
yes.
but yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
That's all good. Well, Jeremy, let's start with where you're at today. Who are you now, and what's been the journey that brought you here?
Oh my. So I'm somebody who went through addiction. I was homeless on the downtown east side for 7 years. I battled. That would be like Sydney, Australia for you. I worked in Australia for a year on a work visa. When I was 24, I was a bartender on the Gold Coast. And so, yeah, Sydney would kind of be that's what Vancouver would be. And so it is the roughest place for drugs and addiction and crime. I come from a good family, a small town in Langley. I moved out to the big city for a relationship. And I fell in love with somebody. It quickly became something that I wasn't expecting or ready for. Kind of love betrayed me, and then I betrayed love, and quickly got surrounded by all the wrong people and the wrong things. I lost my car, my place. The person I was involved with stole my identity, stole my car, $45,000 car. There's lots of identity theft and fraud going on, and which wasn't in my world growing up. So I was very unaware and uneducated and naive. I didn't know what gaslighting was or manipulation. So today I'm now 18 months sober. I am an author of a best-selling book on Amazon. It's called Finding My Lost Life, The Fall to Addiction and Rise to Recovery. I started writing it when I was behind bars in 2024, and then I finished it when I got out. Now I work at Together We Can Recovery and Medical Center, and I'm a certified peer support worker, so I work with other addicts and families. It's something that I'm really passionate about. But yeah, like I am just somebody who wants to have now using my lived experience. I just went on the biggest Canada podcast with Kid Carson. He used to be a radio DJ star for 20 years, and it was a live in studio. That was 3 weeks ago, and that was really cool. It really took off. My Instagram and a lot of my website was blowing up, and it's just been a really cool journey. But it definitely, I had to ride through the storm and nearly didn't make it alive for lots of years, for sure.
Well, congratulations on getting to where you are today. It sounds like you've been through quite the journey, something that's been quite challenging. And it shows that you have a lot of resilience and a lot of strength. And I love that you're also giving back now. So it's like, yeah, I've been through all this fucked shit. Now I want to help other people who've been through similar paths and, help them kind of find the way out. That's awesome.
Yeah, because there was times, like I said, I was so uneducated. I didn't know what gaslighting was. I didn't know that people, there's predators out there that will use your heart as a weapon, and look at you and use you for everything that you have. Like I said, I had nice things. I had a condo. I had bank accounts. I had money. I had assets, and I had
Yeah.
no idea what I was getting into. And I always say, like, if I ever make it out of this thing alive, like, I want to be a cautionary tale. And I felt like such an idiot for so many years. These people are getting all the laughs, kind of thing. I felt like they were the hyenas and I was like the innocent deer, just like prancing through with just absolutely no defense because I had no idea what was going on. And I just don't
Mm.
ever want that for anybody. So I think the best thing I can do is try to share my experience and the things that I went through. So if there's somebody else that is struggling or going through something similar, they can read my book or they can know about me, and be like, man, like, hopefully I can help them or can assist them or warn them.
Yeah, absolutely. And can I ask what actually sent you to prison, and what was it that kind of shifted in there for you that made you kind of come out and be like, right, like I want to do this, I want to do that. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my first, I didn't have a criminal record going in. I was 24 when I moved into Vancouver. I'm 32 now. Like, I got involved. There's three guys that I was involved with. The second person that I was involved with, I didn't know what his reputation was in Vancouver. I didn't know that he had a decade long of history with the VPD. It's the Vancouver Police, with fraud and identity theft. So I got involved with, like, it was like Canada's top most wanted, the top 10, like some of the main people in that organization that
Oh, wow.
I got involved with, and he actually set me up at a BMW dealership. And there's a lot of stuff that before this was going on. Like, this is like just as far as jail goes. He gave me an ID that looked like me. And this was after he stole my identity and went behind my back and sold my $45,000 car. He sold my condo. I was on the streets with nothing. So, and I was so mad, manipulated, and still like so in love. Like, he had me so wound. It was just mastercraftly done. Like, now I can look back and be like, holy, like, what a craft, what a terrible, evil craft it was. But he knew what he was doing. And anyway, it was my first going into jail was impersonation, and fraud.
Wow. So that would have been really hard to have been in love with someone, giving your full heart and your trust, and to be just used to that extent. I mean, that's next level.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. And then I was in and out of jail for since 2020 to 2024. Like, I'd get certain times in, like a couple weeks in here and there, then they'd let me out. I'd get bail. I would get a probationary, like, and the times got longer because after you go to jail once, then I was on a 2 year probation, and like I had conditions like no identity documents. Like, I needed to show up to my probation officer, and I was on the streets at that point, and I was totally stripped raw and devastated and alone. So I didn't show up. I didn't talk to my lawyer. I didn't show up for court. So then you get a bench warrant. And then by then the police knew who I was. So, like, I couldn't really hide in the city. It was only a matter of time. So I'd get thrown back in there. But yeah, no, it was terrible. And before this, like, the first relationship that I went out for, we were so, like, I didn't have a problem with addiction. And he did, like, he was in AA, and I went as a supporter, not knowing that he had a crystal meth addiction. I thought he just was an alcoholic. And
Right.
then he asked me to marry him. And then this is like a year and a half into a relationship. And then all of a sudden he wanted an open relationship, which was devastating. And so then at that point, like I knew I wasn't going to marry him, but I still stayed because I didn't want to move back to the small town. I wanted to, like, we had joint bank accounts. We lived in a
Mm.
Vancouver condo. I liked my life down there. But as soon as he relapsed on crystal meth, he asked me to do it with him. And at that point, I was so vulnerable that I was like, oh my God, like he wants to do it with me. Like it's attention. So I did it for the first time with him. And then as soon as crystal meth got into the picture, we lost our jobs. He suggested that we escort and like sell our bodies. And I just like went with the flow, which obviously is against all of my things as well.
Mm.
So like it was so many, I was so beaten down and so broken and so twisted and upside down. And like I just it was so I was so far gone at that point.
And that's so hard. So like how long did this span over? Like how long of time was all of this happening when you first met that man and then, you kind of made it out of it?
Yeah, well, technically I only got deeper. So I didn't ever make it out. Like I said, we started escorting. That was probably like a 2-year course. Then it got like he wasn't a functioning addict, so he started to literally deteriorate. And we had this rule that like if we were gonna escort, it would be a duo thing. So we would do it together with somebody else, like a client. And then he started to not like be desirable, so then he was just sending me out and he was kind of like my pimp. So the dynamic changed and it just got really toxic. So then we finally ended and I went out on my own. And like I didn't know, I was still so uneducated in this world, right? Like I didn't know that having nice things, having a car, having name brand things like made me a target to these certain people in this world. So then when I moved
Mm.
into my own place, I had these top, fraudsters that wanted to like I would became their mark, and I didn't even know what that was. Where I was their target, someone that they knew was uneducated, that they could come into your life and completely manipulate you and stuff like that. And he did fentanyl. I didn't even know what fentanyl was. And the second guy, there's only 3 guys throughout the 7 years that I write about in my book. The second one was the worst. Like he was the fraudster, and he was the guy who overdosed me on fentanyl to get me to start doing his drug of choice. And
Wow.
as soon as fentanyl came into the picture, like everything changed. Like I don't know if for people that don't know much about fentanyl, it's a game changer. It's not like any other drug. You become biologically dependent on it immediately, and you need it every day. Otherwise, you get down sick, which is the worst experience. Like you go to the hospital for it. So you do anything to get the drug, and your whole world becomes around that. So I just got deeper and deeper and deeper, and then I ended up on the streets. And then I was, roaming around with like murderers and criminals and dangerous people. And again, I was a fish out of water. Like I was never from that life, so it was an experience. Things got more dangerous each time. I overdosed 7 times altogether. I shouldn't even be here.
Mm.
Yeah, it's been a ride.
Yeah, goodness gracious. Like there's so much that happened in,
Yeah.
such a short stint of time. So what were your friends and family like? Where were they in the midst of all of this? Like were they in contact with you? Were they worried? Like what was going on their end?
Yeah, I mean, my mom and I are really close, and my mom and dad are divorced. And then my mom lives like in Langley with my 2 little brothers, and my dad lives about 10 minutes away in Walnut Grove. It's called, and like, I kept them away from it, right? Like, it's about an hour away from downtown Vancouver, so I never kept my addiction. I tried to keep in contact with my mom as much as possible, but for anyone that doesn't know, when you're homeless, like it's pretty hard to keep anything on you because everything gets robbed. Like if you have a phone, it's so the first thing to get stolen off you. So keeping contact was so difficult at that time. My mom did obviously like wanting to try to help her get involved, but for anybody that is an addict, they understand there's nothing anybody can do until the addict is actually ready. So I wasn't desperate enough. I wasn't ready enough. Like I didn't want anyone to take control. I still had the mindset that I got myself into this mess and I'll get myself out. And so I mean, they were worried all the time, of course. And I did keep contact with her for the longest time, but it started, and we were very honest. But then I realized, like, obviously, with things getting more scarier and more dangerous, like, I actually was doing more damage than. So, like, I stopped opening up to her so much, and then
Mm.
it was more just a check in, so she knew like I was alive.
Oh, that's really hard. It actually reminds me a lot of even my own experiences. And I know we actually share similar lived experiences, both having worked as escorts while navigating active addiction. So, what was that period of your life like for you, and how did the two overlap?
So my escorting like was from the first guy. So it was probably only the first 3 years that I was
Mm.
escorting. Me and him were really successful, and then as I said, he kind of stopped being desirable. We split up. I started escorting on my own, and I was actually really successful. Like down here, I could have written a whole other book about like it blew my mind what other people's fantasies were and just the things that I was asked to do or be a part of. Like a lot of the clients actually, there's a big misconception. I don't know for I do have like straight girlfriends that are that have been hookers too, and like it seems like the sex trade with women and straight people is a lot different than the gay one. For the gay sex trade, like I had like mini relationships with these men. Like some of them just wanted companionship as far as like I needed crystal meth to be able to like share my body unnaturally with somebody else. I could never do it sober. And so because I was on crystal meth, that was kind of the gas in the tank to be able to do that life. And then as
Mm.
soon as, like I said, as soon as fentanyl came in, like I couldn't get my shit together. I couldn't run a schedule. I couldn't run a phone. I didn't have a safe place to host. I couldn't obviously like maintain proper hygiene to be able to go for an alcohol. Like you need to have your own base to be able to be successful, especially when you're a higher class. Like I was one of the best, most booked escort back when I was in my prime doing it.
My goodness. And it's hard because I remember when like I was doing escorting and knowing full well that I was not in a good place, like totally disassociating from my body. Like I just really struggled to even have normal relationships with people like outside of that because I just became so good at disconnecting and then also using substances to connect, like to be able to be with someone and to be intimate and to even put on this like performance. Like I was never
Absolutely.
being authentic, like never
Yeah, well,
ever
and
being authentic.
the clients that were booking were also wanting to do drugs, so it kind of came with it hand in
Yes.
hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that was the same experience for me. I know, like, for me, I was considered a class escort over in Melbourne, and yeah, I had a few similar situations to you, like how you mentioned you had like mini relationships. Like I did have some guys yeah, that just wanted the companionship, but then they'd get obsessed. I had some
Yeah,
really weird experiences with some guys doing really shady shit. I had a lot of dealers as well that would book me, and I'd often get even private investigators following me because they're following them. Like it
yeah,
was
oh yeah,
just
oh yeah. Well, and like in the Vancouver, I like it. Everybody kind of knows everybody because you use Leo's List or Rentman. So like all the other escorts knew the other escorts, and I
right.
was taking so many clients that they knew these other escorts knew where I lived. So they actually put like jammers on my entire apartment building, so I couldn't get the
Wow.
whole building. Like the police showed up, cybersecurity showed up. It was huge. Like the whole 20-floor building didn't get any cell service. Like I was like surrounded by like they were like going into my parkade and slashing my tires. Like it was vicious. Like it was a vicious scene.
Whoa.
And
That's
that's just the other
hectic.
escorts. Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus. And like, did you find yourself in any like particularly dangerous situations when you were escorting? Because I know I had a few close calls, but I wanted to hear what your experiences were like.
Oh, 100%. Like there was you get some odd clients, like especially
Mm.
being a gay escort. So for example, like I got straight male drug dealers that were extremely violent and dangerous in
Mm.
their work life. And there were very specific guidelines, like when they booked, like one person, like I wasn't allowed to look at him, I wasn't allowed to talk. I had to park outside his building. He would walk his dog, and he was probably like maybe 30 years old, and then he would go in, and I wasn't allowed to look or talk to him. I just followed him in, and like like we didn't talk. I just basically like got naked, and then he put on whatever he wanted to put on. And then sometimes, like this one time, he got like I guess, a work call, and he usually was very quiet and like very calm. And but he got
Mm.
this work call, and he was like, "I'll fucking handle it. Don't fucking worry." And like he's like, "You out." And I was like, "Okay, bye." like,
Say
like say
less.
less. I'm out. Like peace. Yeah. You know, and there's like stolen iPhone, like just stacks of cash everywhere, like guns. Like, yeah, I mean, for sure,
Mm.
you're like, holy fuck, like I'm gonna go missing. like,
All right, listen up, legends. If you're looking to experience the real Western Australia, there's no better way than with Why Not Bus, who is one of our sponsors. I've actually been on their tour, and let me tell you, it is awesome, awesome vibes, epic adventures, and I made lifelong friends. We're talking snorkeling with sea lions, manta rays, whale sharks, camping under the stars, and taking your time to enjoy the beauty of WA. Use my discount code PARIS2025 and get $300 off your next tour. Go to www.whynotbus.com.au.
well, and
Seriously,
that was
though.
big in Vancouver too. Like, you know, you had to be so careful. Like, I had one other friend that was an escort, and we never like other some escorts played together. I didn't because of price differences and
Yeah,
what we offered. So I didn't because I didn't kiss clients. Like my mouth doesn't go on anything. Like I had very
yeah.
strict, but I was like $400 an hour, whereas other escorts was full service and for like 200. So it just got
Wow.
messy. So I always, but like I had a friend that we're like, hey, if we get sent somewhere, like I'm going to send you my location, and he would do the same. And then
Yes.
if he didn't check in or I didn't check in an hour, we would show up. I would like go looking for him, or he'd go looking for me, kind of thing. So you had to have your wits about you. Like also, you know, I had to start having like I started to get robbed in Vancouver because other like criminals and homeless people knew that I was an escort, so they knew I was going into an apartment building and had cash on me. So I started to get jumped when I'd leave, and they would like camp outside and follow me down. So I had to learn like get a cab directly outside the house. Like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's dangerous for sure.
It is. It is. And the reason that I'm kind of bringing light to it a little bit more like in this interview is because I haven't really dived into it on my podcast, and I haven't really talked about even a lot of my own experiences, but I think it's important for people to understand that even though like yeah, like you get quick cash, like I mean, I was sometimes making over 1,000 an hour, like it was crazy money, and I just was like so wrapped up in that lifestyle, having so much money at like my fingertips.
Yeah,
But then, you know, there's the polar opposites as well happening where, you know, you're not getting good sleep, you're working like these ridiculous hours, you're disconnecting from yourself, you're disassociating. And you're also being put in like really dangerous situations. Like constantly, I was with dealers a lot. So there was always like incidents, people wouldn't know where they were or they were coming to pick up. And I'm like, hello, hi.
yeah,
Like, does this need to happen right now? But okay, yeah, sure.
yeah,
Could have waited. But yes. But it's just, yeah, it's really, really hard because I found for me, like, what appealed me to it was like one, I was definitely already in a really bad space initially. Like I was trying to get sober from meth. I was still very much like an alcoholic. And I just couldn't keep my shit together with like a 9 to 5 job. Like I just found that really hard. Like my mental health was just in the fucking toilet. So when I kind of like hit my limit with that and I was like, nah, like I can't do it. I'm quitting. Like, fuck this. And then I met someone like in Melbourne who was escorting. She's like, yeah, like it's so great. You get to like go to like all these like really fancy places. You meet millionaires. Like you can go around in Ferraris. I mean, which I did have those experiences, yes, but I also had a lot of other experiences, and it was something that I said yes to because I was like, well, I like having sex in my day to day. Why not get paid for it? Fuck it. Like
yeah.
let's make some coin.
Well, yeah. Well, then it's funny because it started to destroy. Like, I would get hot people that like I would normally hook up with, but I started to be like, this fucking sucks. Like, I don't. There's no money at the end of it. So my relationship, like with natural sharing, like it was totally destroyed, 100%. Like, and
Yeah.
also like I think because I had a 9 to 5, I made good money, and then when the training wheels flew off and we both lost our jobs, and then I mean, like I mean, it's on like the front of my book. Like I had a nice body, I looked good. And on Leo's List and Rent Man, you put up pictures of yourself. Like I was just instantly, because he showed me how to do it and we were doing it together and it was so popular right away. Like we were making so much money. Like we were getting like 20 texts a day. It was just like, I was already in it. Like, so then, and crystal meth came with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
And that can
I
be
didn't
addictive
even.
as well. Just the
Oh
money that
yeah,
you
the
make
chaos,
is
the
like,
money, yeah, the attention, the
yeah,
honestly, like if I could escort sober, like I've made jokes about it now, like in my sober life. I'm like, I think I have a little bit of mild addiction with just like I like connection. So like just meeting these people, getting their stories, and like I'm a night owl anyway, and like obviously. And the other thing was because people are like, oh, drug dealers and drug users are losers. They're drains on society. But yet I had politicians, I had doctors, I had lawyers that were buying my time, doing drugs with me, asking me to shoot them up, and they had
yeah,
wives and kids. And I remember telling my mom, like, I don't know, I think society's got this backwards because I'm the drug addict and these people in high proper society are buying my time. So
yeah.
who's
Oh,
wrong? So
I
yeah,
couldn't
no,
agree more. I couldn't agree more. Cause like basically, even for me, like that was one of the same thoughts that I had because I would meet up with people and these would be like surgeons, people that operate on you, like surgeons, lawyers, all sorts of different types of people who would be doing like meth with me. And I would just be sitting there thinking, like, wow, like that
like
this
you
is
got to go to
fucked.
work in 24 hours and cut somebody up. Like what?
Like, I wouldn't trust you with my life, is what I'm thinking like the whole
Yeah.
time.
Oh yeah, it was
Where do you
crazy.
work? And now I know where to avoid, but
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah,
but it
yeah,
was
for
just
sure.
like
It was
it's
riveting. Yeah,
crazy.
like for sure.
Oh, oh,
But
and like the amount of times as well that I would just meet a lot of people that yeah, were going behind their family's back. And I remember just like sitting in there being like, you fucking scum. Like
yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I actually had. It's funny you say that. I actually had some married people like come to me, and I've actually talked them out of it. I've been like, well, like, how would you feel if they were doing this to you? Like, are you sure you want to do this? And they were like,
yeah.
yeah, you're probably right. And I was like, see, I have a moral compass. Like,
I remember I've even had like a few guys that were doing it as like revenge. So I remember there was one guy, I felt so sad for him, but his wife had like cheated on him and he found out about it. And so this was like his way of like evening the score. But I could
yeah,
tell he was just not like, didn't really want to do it. And so we didn't end up doing anything. We literally just talked the whole time, like had a couple of drinks. But I remember just thinking like, oh, like you poor thing. Like here you are just trying to get even
yeah.
with your wife. And I was like, this is fucking sad. I was like, Jesus Christ, I can't actually do anything with you because this is sad. Like this is sad
Yeah.
to watch.
Yeah, it's funny. Like it sounds like you have a background like like we were raised like I have a good mom and dad. Like I don't come from a crooked background. You know what I mean? I had love in my life. I didn't hook or share my body. It was more due to circumstances and the situations that came into my life that I had to adapt. And like obviously, when you're downtown and you're in that drug world obviously, and you're in your 20s, you have a nice body, you have a decent look, and people like even before I started, I had people just being like, all right, what if I paid you? And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, like I'll pay you to have sex with me. And that's how it started. I was like, okay, like sure,
Sure, why not?
sure. I mean, I can use the money. And then I was like, wait a minute.
Light bulb,
So
ding ding ding.
but no matter what, like yeah, like I said, we can like, and I think it's important. Like we can make joke, like we can have light about it. But don't get me wrong. I know I was destroying my soul because I'm dead against putting a price on somebody's body and sharing it unnaturally. And there was because I was in that industry, it led me to getting sexually assaulted against my will. Like you're flirting with danger and chaos, and it definitely did a number on me for sure. Like and I talk about that in my book, don't get it twisted. Like I thought I was good. Like, you know what I mean? I thought, I had all this money. it's not that big of a deal. Like I was going to have
You
sex with people.
downplay it.
You downplay it, of course. You're like,
Yeah.
it doesn't look that bad. I got a condo, I got a car at this
Mm.
point. Like I have nice things. I got this shit on, but it's like, dude, you like, don't get it twisted. You're friggin' selling your body for money. Like, how did we get here?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I couldn't agree more with that because I was the same. Like I was the same. I was very much like in Delulu land thinking it's all Gucci gang, like we're fine,
yeah,
we're making bank, like we're going on holidays whenever the fuck we want, like this is
yeah,
great.
yeah,
But my addiction was getting worse. Like I was getting into more of a hole with methamphetamines. And that obviously was naturally just deteriorating me as a person. I was becoming really paranoid. It was straining my relationships. And then it was also, I started to not know or be able to experience like true connection with people because I was getting so good at putting on this like facade and just like disconnecting from the situation that then in my real life with just your normal people, I really struggled. Like a lot of the time, even when I got out of escorting, it took me so long to learn and like unlearn a lot of those behaviors and be able to be authentically intimate with someone. I mean, there was so many times, Jeremy, I can't even tell you, where I would be like seeing someone and I would be like, I'd be a late night call and I'd be like, fuck it, whatever, I don't care. We'd have sex and then I'm out at like 3 a.m. I'm out the window, I'm out the door, whatever. Like, I'm just like, job done. Like,
old
no point
habits don't
hanging
die too
around.
fast. Yeah, and like,
It was
where's the
so
money?
confusing. It was so confused. They were like, "Why did you just like leave in the middle of the night?" I'm like, "I had shit to do. Stuff was
Yeah,
done." Like,
I ain't sticking around. I'm not giving you the boyfriend experience. You haven't paid for that.
yeah. So it was
Yeah,
just like it was so hard to like come back from that, and I was really like messing with people's heads. They were
yeah.
like,
Honestly,
"Man,
honestly,
what the
like
fuck?"
so I'm 18 months sober. I got out of jail May 2024. So it's been a year and a half, and that I still haven't been. I mean, I gave myself a year to my recovery. It's one of the biggest things. I actually coming out of jail. I was still engaged with the third person, but then he went into jail, and I had to make that decision. I had conditions that I wasn't allowed to have anything to do with him, but he didn't have conditions. So when he got out of jail a couple months later, he tried to contact me. He wanted to move in together. And I was like, do you not understand like what you're saying? You're saying if
Mhm.
I break my condition, I go back to jail for 18 months. You're fine, but I'm at risk because I'm the only one with the conditions by the court. And
Yeah.
you're okay to risk that. Like that's not love. It's
Mm.
like I can't believe you're even willing to put me at risk and put me back in jail. And
Yeah.
I it was the
Selfish.
first time I used my mind over my heart, and like I've just been so focused on. I mean, the book has kept me busy, doing podcasts, book launches at Indigo Chapters. Working at the Recovery Center, going on these huge podcasts in the Vancouver studios. I've just been so busy that I'm making a bunch of money with the book. So then I'm like, I want to get smart with my money and put money into the cryptocurrency market and different stocks. Like I want to be smart. Like I'm just focusing on myself, which I've never actually really done sober. So, but I'm getting to a point where, because I haven't had sober sex yet since. Um,
Ah,
so I
okay.
know, and that's something I was thinking about. A lot of people are like, you should write a second book about what you've gone through in your sobriety, like, surviving sobriety and stuff. Because I've gone through quite a few things, and having the 12-step program, having my higher power present, my faith present, being principled, I have a sponsor, I'm a sponsee. Like I'm so enthralled in the AA and NA community, and I'm getting to a point where I'm ready to explore again, but like I had my own body dysmorphia stuff going on. Like I like
Mm.
in a weird sick way. Like obviously the cover of my book was when I was escorting. So I chose that one because I literally wanted to be like, don't judge a book by its cover. You think I'm sexy or healthy there. I was the most unhappy, unsafe, like the worst part in where I've ever been in my addiction selling my body. So don't judge a book by its cover. That's literally why I picked that one. And I looked still together, but like towards the end in the back of my book, I have a photo of me about just before I went to jail, and I was literally 75 pounds soaking wet, the skin like
Wow.
sagging off of my bones. I was so gaunt and pale, and my waist was like this big. But in my head, I'm like, oh my God, like I was so skinny. I look so good. And I
Yeah.
have that body dysmorphia now where I have a healthy weight. I go to the gym, I'm like 185 pounds, but I feel fat, even though like I'm not. But, and I think that's preventing me from like letting people see me naked. So I'm dealing with that as like literally live as I go. So it's been
Yeah. And
a journey. Yeah.
yeah, and look, I can say that I've experienced the same thing. Like I'm still struggling with body dysmorphia because I mean, obviously, when you're on drugs, particularly like
Oh my God, you're the
methamphetamines.
best body in the world. I'm like, let me just go on crystal meth for one more month. Just give me a month and I'll be fucking fly, man. It'll be Gucci. I'll be great. I'll be cracking. Just give me a month. Everyone's like, no,
Literally.
like fucking
Honestly,
haters,
though.
man. It's not all bad.
Honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so many times that I would like have a good like 2 week, 3 week stint just to lose a couple of kilos.
Oh, fuck yeah. Girl, I'm telling you. It's great appetite suppressant. It's just, yeah, like,
Gets the metabolism moving,
oh,
gets you moving.
fucking Energizer Bunny, man. It was the best.
Oh my
But
god. But no,
yeah, no.
it's hard though. Like it's really hard because when you first start recovering, like you naturally start to gain weight.
Oh,
And then I
100%.
got
Yeah.
yeah, and then I got put on antipsychotics, which made me gain like 30 kilos in a year. And that
Yeah.
was like but I'm still struggling to lose that. And since then, it's like I look back at photos of myself, like when I'm in my escorting days, and you'd look at those photos, you probably wouldn't think like I was on the gear, but I'm fully dressed up. I'm like really slim. I'm like, oh my god, like great time. Like
Yeah.
I look good,
Yeah.
essentially, like on the outside. But I was not like healthy. I was not in a good space. But I often look back at those photos. I'm like, fuck, like I
Yeah.
feel
No, I
so
have an old
fat.
Instagram account that I forgot the password to. And like, it's, man, I'm like, I'll get there again. But like, before I went into addiction, like, I was gymming like really hard. I was really big and muscular. So, I'm like, I can get there again. But yeah, it's just a process. Like, if I'm being honest, like, yeah, sharing my body and like feeling good. Like, I know I'm not fat, but I'm not like what I was. So, and like, I really took time in my recovery, my sobriety I wanted to work on my baggage, my trust issues, all these things. I really wanted to do the steps. And it would be a disservice to anybody that I've got involved with me. And I would recommend it for anybody working at a treatment center. I see hundreds of people that come through that are in relationships or they try to find relationships. And I'm like, you guys, like, you can't do recovery if your attention is on somebody else. Like, you have
Yes,
to have
agreed.
120% attention on yourself. You got to do soul searching. You got to do moral inventory, causes and conditions. You got to do some childhood trauma. You got to go through everything, break down everything and get your higher power, your spirituality back. And you just can't do that when you're trying to show up for somebody else and worry about
Yeah.
somebody else like you would a natural partner. And so I really wanted to focus on myself, the baggage. Like, I didn't want to use somebody and go in and be all like weird about trust. And like, I think it's the best decision. But yeah, like, I'm definitely trying to wrap my head around like, okay, Jeremy, like, it's time to, like, there's a couple of people that have shown interest, and I like kind of tested out the waters and like went over there, and there was like sexual tension and stuff like that. But I was just like, I'm just not ready, even though like I'm like,
Mm.
dude, like and then I look back, I'm like, man, you're 30, and this kid is like 26. He's beautiful. Like, you're gonna look back when you're 50 and be like, what the fuck were you thinking? Like,
Like Jeremy.
Jeremy, enjoy your body. Like, you're being ridiculous. Like, you're only like, I was 225. No, that's a lie. 230 pounds getting out of jail. And it's
Yeah.
funny because, and I know this because I went bungee jumping with my friend, and I was like, oh yeah, like I started to go to the gym, maybe not religiously, but I was like, okay, so we go bungee jumping, my friend Kelsey and I, and we, it's such a, I'm so choked. And the people that are Australian and Whistler bungee, and there's a sheet you fill out and you put your weight. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, 180 pounds for sure, thinking like I'm only that, like really low. And then they fucking weigh you right after. And I was like, what the fuck? What is the point of that? So then I step on the scale and it's like 230 pounds. And I was scared going into the bungee jump, but then I was like, fucking cut the cord. Like, I don't even care if it breaks. Now I'm fucking 60 pounds heavier than I thought. It's like the cruelest thing ever. And me and
Oh,
my friend, we joke about it. I'm like, oh, you put the purple cord on for the fat people? I don't even care if I die. It's all good. I'm way fatter than I thought I was. Like, and now I've worked really hard and I'm like 190 pounds. I go to the gym religiously. I'm way more conscious on my weight. So I know I can get there again. And maybe like when I feel better and I look in the mirror, like I'm starting to notice differences. Like I know I will eventually, but yeah, it's something I'm dealing with.
and look, I was laughing before because your experience reminded me of what I literally just went through in Bali at the start of the year.
Oh,
So
did you do bungee jumping too?
jumping, but I went to Waterbomb Park, and there's some slides where like you get like certain size like tubes or like whatever
Okay.
they're called that you sit in, and there's like some for the normal weight people and some for the heavier people. But I, again, was in my like head like, yeah, I know I've gained weight, but I don't think I'm that bad. And
Right?
then I had the normal like tube weight thing, and then they were like, hold on, can you just like jump on these weights for a minute? And I was like, and then they were like, no, you need to have like this one.
Oh no.
Died. I
I get it.
died, Jeremy.
Girl,
After
I
that,
get it. I
I was like, fuck
dead.
this fucking Waterbomb Park. I'm not sliding on anything anymore.
Yeah.
I
I didn't
said,
want to slide anyway. Fuck you. Yeah. Oh yeah. It was great for my fear because I didn't even care after that. I was so nervous going in and I was like, oh, now I don't give a fuck. Cut the cord. I'm just a fat fucking whale. So it's all good. So I was able to go through without, I even like fell backwards. I didn't even care. It's like, awooga. It's all good. That's
very
funny.
similar
So you get
experience.
it, yeah. I mean, it's
I
good
get it.
motivation to be like, yo, you need to get your ass into the gym and start
Oh,
like
100%. But look, the other thing is like I've been having the same challenges in like loving my body and being accepting of it, but I've had to really shift my mindset a lot lately, and I've been like, right, this is the season I'm currently in. This is just where I'm at. And do I
yeah,
want to be where I was before? No, I'm not that person anymore. So I'm actually evolving into something entirely new. So we're not going backwards, we're going into this like new space. So that's something that has been helping my mindset. And also kind of similar to what you were saying before, it's like when if you were older and looking back being like, why didn't you sleep with him, Jeremy? Sometimes I think to myself, I'm like, gosh, like here I am like judging my body so harshly, being so mean. And I'm sure like, when I'm like 70 or something, I'll look back and be like, you fucking fool. Like,
right?
why
Oh,
were you
yeah.
so mean? Like, and
Well,
so
and like they don't care. They still want to have sex with you. So like, what do you? You're the one who hates you. They don't
yeah,
even. So like, get your shit together. Like,
yeah,
and I try to be like, okay, like I'm working towards a goal. So my body is a work in progress. It's not like I'm sitting here being like, oh my god, I have an 8 pack. I'm so sexy. Like no, like I go
yeah,
to the gym. I work hard. I watch what I eat. Like get off
yeah,
me. So like I try. But man, like going to Playland today you see these men and women that are literally just no fucks given. And I'm like, I commend you and I wish I had your confidence and your like just like they wear their God bless them, but they're like literally like 350 pounds and they're wearing like a Lululemon one piece romper with their tits out. They've got like they just don't care and they walk around I'm like, good for you, girl. Like, you know what? I wish I had that confidence. Like, you know
yeah.
what I mean? I'm not in a judgmental way. Like, I'm like,
No.
man, I'm like, look, what is wrong with me? Like, I'm 1/3 of the size of that person, and I still feel like I'm so fat. So yeah, no, I'm working on
Yeah.
it.
It's hard. It's so hard. And yeah, but like, look, you're taking the steps, you're doing what you need to do to look after you. And I find as well, focusing not so much even on the weight loss anymore, but just being like, I want to be healthy. I want to feel
Yeah,
like good in my own skin rather than like, I want to be skinny. I want to be
yeah,
muscly. I
for
want to be
sure.
this. It's like, yeah,
Yeah, and
I want to
getting
be
like my
healthy. I want to feel good.
yeah my relationship with like my higher power back on point, and like I said, I'm not a super religious person, and but I have my spirituality and my higher power in my life again, which is a beautiful thing. Like I'm very more at peace, and I don't have much chaos in my life, and I have a very well, like, people have to give themselves some grace and patience. When you, I mean, for
Yeah.
you and I, like we lived, chaos was a comfort. I was
Yeah.
constantly on the go, looking over my shoulder, in and out of jail. I was go, 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 go. I was never in the same place at once. I was in survival mode. And it takes a minute, like, to get out of that, even your body biologically, psychologically, like to be in a safe place, like your stuff is safe, getting your identity back, getting your driver's license back, getting a car back, getting your bank accounts back, like all getting a passport again. Like you got to give yourself, like, time is a beautiful thing. And at the beginning of your recovery, like sometimes you're going to feel like you're like have to sit on your hands because you're so antsy. And
Mm.
that's why I think it's really important for anyone. A lot of people don't understand that the opposite of addiction is connection. So get
Yes.
your connections in your life. Go to an AA or NA room, or do a Zoom meeting if you're shy, like I have clients, or get a peer support worker like I did when I first got out of jail. I didn't even know what peer support was, and it was my community reintegration team. And the qualifications, you do a course, of course, but like you have to have lived experience, and it's a whole different ball game when an addict gets in front of an addict
Mm.
than a normie and an addict. Like in my addiction, when I tried, like I was on disability in the government, and like sometimes to get into free government housing, I needed to do like a psych eval, and I'd get like this very qualified like master's degree in addiction and like urban planning, and I'd be like, okay, great. Have you ever been homeless or addicted to drugs? And they were like, well, no. I'm like, get out of here. Like,
I've
I
heard
don't care
enough.
what I don't care what school. Yeah, I've heard enough. I don't care what school you've gone to. You know what I mean? Like if you can't possibly relate or understand, right? So
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
and peer work is so important. Like that's become a massive thing in Australia. I mean, I'm in the middle of launching my own company that's based on peer work and support because it shows like in studies that people that are going through addiction recovery often get the best support and can. I think that it's at like 47% or something people that tend to maintain their sobriety when they've got a peer worker or a peer support. This is in Australia, by the way,
yeah,
here, and which is like that's not bad. I know it sounds low, but it's not bad if you think
yeah.
about how many
Better
people
than
don't
one
make out of
percent
it.
in Canada. We're
Mm.
1%.
Oh shit! Oh god!
Without peer support. Like peer support really just blew up in the last like 2 or 3 years here as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and that's
Mhm.
why I put it in my book. I put in the back and the epilogue, like, this is what I do now. And you can book through my website on Calendly. And I go into the jails, which is really cool. I've been on this side of it now. And yeah, I mean, I think it's everything I've been through. Like you look at even like what you've gone through, I've been, there's so much trauma. Like if you think about it, like in and out of jail is one thing. I mean, I was raped. I was in the sex trade. I had my identity stolen. I was like, there's just I saw so many deaths and murders and dead bodies, dead young girls in sea cans in the ports of Vancouver. I literally,
Mhm.
like, I went through so much trauma because I've done so much work. And now I've decided to share my story with the world in my book. And it's gotten so much traction, hitting a bestseller status on Amazon. Indigo Chapters picking up, which is one of the biggest book places around the world. Like, I'm so glad. And I was very hesitant at the beginning. I'm like I kind of had a little bit of fear. Like I had some
Of course.
gang associations. I obviously hid identities. I changed locations of people and things because I was kind of fearful, like that maybe somebody they'd come after me for sharing, and also just like if I would get judged or belittled. But I was like, you know what? No, like that's the problem with the narrative of people think addiction is a shameful and embarrassing thing, and yet it's literally addiction has touched pretty much every friggin' area in the world.
Mm.
Even when people find out I'm an author of an addiction book, and I'm in random places, they're like, oh my god, my dad struggles with addiction, or oh, my mom's an alcoholic, or oh, my little brother actually ended up on the streets. Like when you open up that dialogue, it's crazy how much addiction has affected people. And I want to
Yeah.
create that narrative to not be ashamed and to like just like be honest, because if you can't be honest, and you don't feel like it's something that you can ask for help, nothing's going to change. And like we
Mm.
are in a mental health and an addiction crisis, an opiate crisis around the world.
Yeah.
There's no sense trying to ignore it. Like a lot of the media doesn't say it, but like it's aggressive. It's why I'm hoping my book becomes like a Netflix series. Like I'd like to make a documentary on it and hopefully like be that tangible proof. Like you couldn't get much lower down the rabbit hole than I was, and here I am in front of you when 2 years ago I had nothing and I was near death on the streets. That person you walked by on Hastings Street that was homeless, like that was me. And now here I am.
Yeah.
You
And what
know?
an amazing, like inspiring story. Like as hard as it's been, like to show people that you can come from that place and come out the other side is massive. It's huge. And so, thank you for sharing your story. It actually leads me into my next question, which was what helped you begin that mental shift into wanting a better life for yourself? And what did early recovery look like for you?
Well, the final time when I was in jail, that's when it was like 4 years going in and out back in 2024 here. I finally was so defeated and I joined Bible studies. I joined AA in jail, and there was 40-year-old men, 50, 60-year-old men in there that like had lost their teeth. They had no family. They just had nothing. And I'm like, oh my, like that's going to be me if I don't get my shit together. And I told myself every time, like, oh my man, like when I get out of jail this time, I'm not going to do this kind of crime, or I'm not going to associate with these people, or I'm totally going to go about it differently. And I'm not going to get back in here. And every time I ended up back in there. And so I was done. Like, I just finally had that realization. I got the big book in jail. I started reading it and it spoke to me. And I finally, even like I said, Bible studies, I'm not even religious, but I was so desperate. I'm like, I need something to get out of this. Like, I had the gift of desperation. I couldn't do it anymore. I was so exhausted, getting arrested on the streets, going through the process, which is 72 hours of hell, withdrawing, and jail politics, like you're back. It's fucking horrible. So I finally was like, I can't do this anymore. And I had that gift of desperation. I was willing to listen to anything or anybody. I was willing to take any program in jail that worked for somebody else, even if it didn't necessarily align or I didn't really believe in it. I still did it because I was open. Like I can't, what I'm doing is not working anymore. And they also weren't, the crown said they weren't going to let me get out on in 5 months. I wasn't going to get time served. They were going to give me more time if I returned back to Vancouver, to the government free shithole I was living in. And if I didn't go back to Langley with my mom and dad, I wasn't going to get time served. So I had a decision to make: either be ripped out of your environment and completely cut that life out and go back into a safe place with your family, or you're gonna be in here for years. So you make the decision. And I finally just realized, like, it's not a fair trade. I'm giving my entire life. Like, that's not what I want my human experience on this earth to be. That I'm, an insect, literally just like dying to survive, getting the scraps on the street. It's not what I want. And finally, when I got out of the jail, like, of course, like early recovery, luckily I had Netflix, and like I got all my Game of Thrones in. I just like watched so much TV. I stayed at home. I was on withdrawal medication, like I was on methadone, and then I got the supplicate shot, which is like a shot in the stomach you get once a month, and it gets rid of all your withdrawals. It's a newer thing in Canada, and I took that for 3 months, and I just honestly I started going to the gym. Obviously I was on disability, so my rent was paid for and everything, and I had to get like back into my routines and find myself again. And luckily, when I got out of jail, I had to digitalize my book, and I had something to do. I had a lot of typing to do. I had to obviously publish my book, and then I had my peer support worker and my community transition team leader every week for the first 90 days. So I just kind of slowly got my stuff back. I went into the driver's licensing place, I had to clear the wreckage of my past. I had lots of debt. I burned lots of bridges. Like I just, yeah, like you just slowly start tackling things.
And it's really hard, like when you first kind of make that decision. And I was very similar to you as well, like hitting that point of just pure exhaustion, just pure desperation for no longer wanting to live the kind of, well, you're not really living, like you're just merely
Yeah. Yeah,
existing. You're
you're
not
sick
even
and
living.
tired of being sick and tired. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, so that was a big push for me as well. I mean, I had that moment. I'd love to say I like fully got sober straight away, but I had many relapses and it was just like this slow burn. But it started to shift. Like it started to shift. That exhaustion was really starting to play a part. And yeah, it's hard to know where to start though, because you
Yeah.
can also start to feel like quite bored. Like you lose the
Oh, for sure.
ability to be
Yeah.
able to socialize. And it's just
Yeah.
like you're
Well,
navigating so much.
Well, no, I don't know how it is in Australia, but in Canada, like recovery and detox is not easily available. Like, if honestly, the sad part is if it wasn't for jail, I never would have gotten sober. If I wasn't involuntarily held and forced into sobriety and confined and ripped out of my environment, I had no communication to the outside world for 5 months, it never would have happened. Like, I tried to go through the free detox, the free government recovery, but there was like a month wait list. You had to call in every day to show you were serious. I'm like, I don't have a phone. I'm homeless. Like, and obviously I'm going to withdraw. So you go back out. Like, it's just
Mhm.
not, there's a very big misconception to society that they think it's very easily accessible. And the government
Right.
so it's a choice. The drug addict chooses. Well, not actually. I have a lot of different opinions with that, but even I wanted to get help and it was not available unless I had $25,000 for private, detox or
Yeah, that's
recovery, which
crazy.
I didn't have. So luckily, jail, like, for me, I didn't have a choice. It was like, okay,
Mhm.
yeah, you're in here, so you might as well do something with your time this time, because if you get back out, making the conscious decision to not go back to Vancouver and to not use drugs. I don't think I mean, obviously I've shown I wasn't strong enough for that. So yeah, I have a huge
Yeah.
respect for people. Like, I work at a recovery center and I always say when the guys relapse or they fuck up, I'm like, you know what, man, you're here by choice. And that is huge. I couldn't even do that. So like,
Mm.
don't beat yourself up too much. You should be so proud of yourself that you're doing this on your own volition with your freedom. Like, I didn't have freedom, but
Yeah.
luckily, like, that worked in my situation because I was so far gone.
Yeah, that like I didn't realize that Canada, had such a lack of those type of resources. Like I know where
Oh,
we've got
terrible.
quite a yeah, we've got quite a bit here, but we are starting to get like huge wait lists. So that is a problem we're currently facing. And then even the hospitals here are starting to get overrun. So there's a lot of problems with people,
Oh,
showing up for
our
ED.
medical is ours is completely fucked, and they try to clump them in with mental health, which then doesn't work. And then then like the jails, they just throw them in jail, but then that fucks up the judicial side and overruns it. Like they need a way better, and I'm a big advocate for that. I'd like to work in an area in government or somewhere that makes decisions with where they allocate the money and how to actually like, I feel like they need someone who's been in the trenches that understand. Out of all of the
Absolutely.
billions of dollars we give to harm reduction, why are we not building more detoxes? Like, that's great that, yeah, you have recovery centers, but you can't go right from addiction to recovery. You need detox.
Yes.
So the system could be so much way better, well done, and we can do so much better, and it needs to happen because it's just getting worse. And many don't make it out alive. Like I said, I see hundreds of guys come through our doors. We're the number one treatment center in Canada, and we have a 72-person wait list, and it's a money game. It comes down to a business, and unfortunately, we take the people that have the money rather than financial support from the government. It's just
Mm,
how it is. At the end of the day, it's a business, and it comes down to the bottom
of
dollar.
course. Yeah.
Just like the pharmaceutical companies, at the end of the day, it's a business. They don't
Yeah.
make money off of healthy people.
No, they
So,
don't. No.
so
It's hard. It's really
that's a
hard. And
whole
I
other can of worms.
I do like though in Australia, like we've really started to kind of involve a lot more people with lived experience in those policy making changes. So like for me, I've become like a registered AOD, like alcohol and other drug representative. So what that means is I can actually be paid to come in and meet with different businesses. I can have inputs on, some of their policies and procedures, and I can say, hey, like, these are some things to consider if you've got someone coming through your doors who's dealing with addiction. Like, this could be a trigger, or that might be a problem for them. And, they're actually starting to get like a table of people with lived experience. And then you can go onto these, like, I think they're called CAS. It's like pretty much like this consulting thing.
Yeah.
And they can pull you in and be like, right, like, we need your opinions on this new project we're working on, or we're thinking about doing this. And for me as well, a lot of my advocacy work is I actually get involved in being in a lot of focus groups. So getting in front of different organizations that are producing reports or studies for like the Department of Mental Health and all of that, and being able to put my 2 cents in and say, like, not even long ago, I was in a focus group where we were talking about how a lot of addicts are presenting to ED and they're getting really stigmatized, and they're being made to feel like, they're wasting their time by showing up to ED. And so then that also comes into the conversation with like, well, where's the best place for them to go? Because obviously ED, they're trying to focus with the life and death situations, and they don't view people with like addiction and people who might be experiencing withdrawals as life and death. So they're being made to wait there for like 9-10 hours when they're really struggling. And it's just like they end up walking out. They don't end up getting seen. They don't get the help that they need. So 50%.
It's a great idea. We don't have that in Canada.
Oh, really? Yeah. So that's something that I think is like a real benefit here in Australia.
Totally.
I'm seeing a lot of changes with that. And who knows, maybe you could eventually become that person where maybe you have your own consulting business and you can pitch out to different businesses that might have those types of clients coming through the door and being like, hey, I can offer to do this little presentation on how to best support someone who is experiencing that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, cool. What I want to ask you next? Just before we kind of like wrap up, I do want to talk a little bit more about your book. So now that you've got a book out, what made you want to write it? I'm assuming you started writing it in jail, maybe?
Yeah.
Is that where you started? Yeah. And what was it like having to go back and like relive some of the hardest parts while putting it all down on paper?
Yeah, my sister is a spiritual healer. She's a couple years older than me, and she's like, me and her were writing back and forth while I was in jail, and she said, you should, for therapy wise, you should just like write about your story chronologically, like what happened from fall to rise. And I was obviously very nervous to go through. It was really difficult, like the first time, especially, I had two different editors. So like one of them, I like, as I go through my book, I like the big traumas that stand out, I write about. And the second editor I had was like, you need to put way more detail in. So not only was it one thing to like write about it, but I had to actually like stop, put myself back in wherever I was, and what do I smell? What do I hear? What do I see? What was the environment? Like I did not only relive it, but paint a picture for my reader.
Yeah.
So there was like and it was like I cried a couple of times. Like, I mean, I obviously did the step work and my step 4, my moral inventory and resentment. So of course, like I had done some soul searching, but I haven't truly put myself back and like fully like remembered everything, if that makes sense. So, but it ended up being really therapeutic in the end. I think it was a journey that was beautiful. But of course, yeah, it came with some hardships and trying to make sure I put enough description in so the reader can understand and like paint the picture in the narrative. But yeah, no, it all actually started. I did say like a couple years ago, like I said, if I ever get out of this thing alive, like I'm gonna write a book about this because I truly was baffled by some of the stuff that was happening. You think it only happens in the States, but it's just right in Vancouver, like sex trade, like even there was children and minor stuff going on. Like I had a client, a billionaire client that bought an 8 and a 10-year-old, and a gang found out, and I somehow got involved because he was my client, which I had no idea. But it was crazy. Like there was so much stuff that I, had to write about, and I had to be like, I also had to be mindful, like how it came off. But yeah, no, it was definitely an experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I would find that really hard, but I could see that being quite healing for you though, to
Yeah,
kind
it
of
was,
be able to
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
process
I
that
would
in
recommend it
a
for
different
anybody.
way.
Yeah. Like chronologically, like break it down, like what happened when, like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, it's something I've considered doing, but maybe one day, maybe
Maybe
one
one day.
day. So, where can people find your book and connect with you if they want to read more or, even engage with your services?
Yeah, sure. It's so I have a website. It's www.jeremycross.ca. My book is available. There's book links on there. There's about me, my peer support work. You can also contact me at the bottom of my website. If you write there, and it'll go to my email, and I respond all the time. And you can go on Amazon dot au. I'm pretty sure it's available in Australia. And I have the ebook, paperback, hard copy. I've had a couple people in Australia that have bought it and written reviews, which is really cool, and like messaged me on my website and said that they're really connected with it. So, and I have an Instagram and Facebook, Jeremy Cross Author, and then my Instagram is Jer W Cross 5. Again, if you go to my website, it has everything on there, all my social links.
Beautiful. And I'll also share these links here and also in the description box below. So, to
Cool.
wrap it up, if someone listening who might be stuck in addiction, maybe the sex industry or both, what would you say to them right now? Like, what do you wish someone had said to you back then?
I would say, I've even had these kind of conversations with like my younger self, and I can picture myself back then. But, and what I would say, especially being that I'm now, 18 months sober, I would say to them, I was once you, I was homeless, I was helpless, I was hopeless. I didn't think I would ever be able to stop this lifestyle. It swallowed me whole. And I'm telling you, there is a way. If you have a will and you don't have to do it alone, there is resources out there. I'm available. There's tons of other people out there. You don't have to live this way. It's a choice. And I know that I know, it feels like you're trapped and you can't get out. Again, I felt all those things too, and I'm proof that it's possible. If you really want to find a will or have a will, you'll find a way. And if I can help in any way,
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jeremy. It was an absolute pleasure to have you on. I love this discussion. It's always good to meet someone who has had similar experiences. So thank you so much for sharing. It was really brave, and I hope you can take care of yourself after this session. There was a lot we talked about, but thank you. Thank you so much.
thank you so much for having me. I think what you're doing is amazing, giving somebody a platform to share and to help other people. It's incredible.
Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate it. Well, thank you again, and I'll speak to you soon.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye, Paris. Bye.